Hey, my name is Jesus Castelló, author of Ruby Deep Dive and the Ruby Guides blog. If you like Ruby, make sure to subscribe to the channel now so you can get more videos like this. In this video, you're going to learn about the TracePoint class. The TracePoint class. What's that? And how is it useful? TracePoint is a built-in Ruby class that helps you with debugging. Let me show you an example. To use TracePoint, you use the TracePoint class with a trace method and then a block. Inside this block, you have one argument, the TracePoint object. And then if we run this code, you can see that we get one TracePoint object. And the way this works is that there are different TracePoint events. TracePoint events. These events, there are a few of them, and one of them, as you can see, is C return. What does that mean? There are two parts to this event. One is the C part, and what that means is that this is coming from built-in Ruby functions. Built-in Ruby functions which are written in C, in the C programming language. That's why it's called C. Then underscore and the word return. What does return mean? It means that this event is a method that just returned, that just ended. So the return is done, and that's the event. The event is a C return, which means a built-in Ruby method has finished and it's returning some value. Which method? We can see here it's the trace method. So this method is returning. And then after that we have the full path to the file, which in this case is TracePoint example RB. And finally we have the line number where this is happening. So that's line number 2, as you can see right there. Now these TracePoint objects have a few methods you can use with them. For example, the event method, like this, event. So this we print just the event name. And we can create an array so we can see more things. For example, TP return value. And this gives us the return value of the method itself. Then we can use method ID. So method ID shows you what method has been called, or in this case, what method has returned. And even more interesting than that, we get this self and this binding. So the self allows you to see the value of self at this moment in time. So when this event happens, this return, what is the value of self? In this case, the value of self is TracePoint, the TracePoint class in itself. Unbinding is the most interesting of all of this because that gives you access to the scope. So what that means is that you get access to the local variables and instance variables where this is defined. So if we print the scope, the binding, this is a binding object, and we can do things like get local variables and send methods. For example, we can use the color method, and what this method will do, that's the result, is give you a call stack or stack trace. So what that means is who called this method. This answers the question who called this method, and you can do it like that. And if you want to access some local variable, there are methods for that too, using through the binding. So remember, the binding gives you access to the local scope, the local environment where this event happens. So I find this very interesting. And also you can ask for the class. You can see where is this method defined. So the method is trace, but where is trace defined? Because you can have trace method in many different classes, right? In Ruby. But where is that defined? Well, you can get that by calling define class on the TP object. So let's see another example by incrementing this code I have in here. Now we get a lot more output because there are more things happening in this code. So once you have this line of code, all of the events will start printing. So if I move this to the bottom, you see that the output becomes the same thing we had before because it's only tracing itself. But if I move this up, now it's tracing itself plus the call to this foo method. This is a method call to this method definition, to this method, right? And what we get a line event, and of course a line event has no method ID or defined class. It just says that this line has some code in it. That's basically what the line event is. Then a method call and a return. So notice one thing, this is C return and this return with both the C underscore part. What's the difference? Well, the difference is that this is a Ruby level method because we define it here. And this, like I said, a built-in method. So methods on string, arrays, hashes, all of these methods will be C underscore call and C underscore return, like this one. And methods that you define or defined by some gem, every method that's defined at the Ruby level will be called and returned like that. So what is this useful for? This is useful for debugging mostly. You can debug and you can see what methods are being called, what return values are being returned from methods, things like that. You can even build a tree to see how methods are related, what methods call other methods, what methods are being called by other methods. So you can see the relationship between methods. I actually built a gem that does that. I will do a separate video about the gem, but it's called Visual I believe it's called Visual Call Tracer or something like that. I will make another video about that and I will show you how to use that gem. But basically that gem is built on top of this. On top of this TracePoint feature that's built into Ruby. So I hope you found this useful and interesting. If you did, please give me a like by clicking the like button below this video. And that will let me know that you like this video. And also you might want to subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, so you can get more videos like this and that also helps me grow the channel. So thanks a lot for watching. If you have any questions or feedback, please leave a comment. See you in another video.